Hello, I am going to show you how to use jGrasp to develop your Java applications. So when you first open up jGrasp, you will see an interface that looks something like this. The first thing you want to do is open up a new file. You go under File and select New. The type of file you want is Java. And then it places you automatically in an editor where you can type in your code. So I'm going to type in a simple application that's going to just print hello world. So lowercase public class hello printer public static void main then system.out.println hello world. Then I'm going to close all my brackets. Now, you will eventually, as you go through your Java textbook, learn what everything means in this file that I created. So essentially, all code has to be somewhere. So it's in a file, but it has to be encapsulated in what we call classes. So you'll learn a little more as your course unfolds about what classes and objects are. But classes essentially encapsulate your code, and you need to give your class a name where the code is going to be, and the name of the class has to match the name of the file. The other thing that's really important is this main method. That is the main starting point of any application. So you'll eventually learn how to create classes and use them as building blocks to create larger applications, and you'll have other functions, also known as methods, that you can call. But your starting point is going to be a main method, and that's pretty much where most of your executable instructions for your computer are going to reside, is in that main method. And you have this print line method, which actually prints a message, a string message to the screen. One thing to keep in mind is as you are beginning to learn how to program, you're going to get exposed to a lot of concepts and information that is all new, and given time and practice and exposure to this information, it'll start to make sense, and you'll start to see the same things over and over. So as you write other applications and as you look through examples and type in examples and work through some of practice exercises at the end of chapters in a textbook, you'll start to get more familiar with what we mean by classes, what public means, what does the main method do, and how to print to the screen. The focus of this video is just to get you familiar with how to write an application and how to run it. So I've created this application. I've typed it in the text editor. You'll see that there are line numbers here. That makes it easier for you to say, if you had a question about an error or something that you want to bring to the attention of, say, your instructor, you can say, hey, on line 3, I have a question about this error that I see. What is wrong with my syntax there? And so that also brings up the point about syntax. So the point of an application is to write a program that your computer understands. So you're essentially writing a set of instructions for your computer to execute, and that set of instructions, after you write it, has to be translated to ones and zeros because the computer can't read anything but ones and zeros. And so a tool such as jGrasp lets you type in code in abiding by rules of a particular syntax that is associated with a language. So we are coding in Java. So if you use proper syntax to write your Java application, then the tool can compile it to ones and zeros. So if you look at this jGrasp interface, you will see this little plus sign here. And if you hover over any of these, it tells you what they do. This is what you want to do to compile your file. And so you're going to first get this message to save it. So I'm going to save it. And it's going to give you this pop-up window. And it's smart enough to know that the name of the class has to match the name of the file. So you'll see it says Hello Printer is the name of the class. So it defaulted to helloprinter.java is the name of the file. These have to match. The name of a public class has to match the name of the file. So you can pretty much leave the default alone here. The only thing that you might want to change is where exactly you're going to save your work. So I've created a folder where I'm going to store all of my tutorials, but you can traverse your directory by going up and going inside wherever it is you want to be, whichever folder you want to be, and save your files there. So I'm going to hit save. And then what you're hoping to get is operation complete. If you feel like you have too many messages down here, you can always hit clear. I will compile it again and you'll see operation complete. So that means everything's okay. If I had a syntax error, so I'm going to remove this semicolon and compile it again. If you have a syntax error, it tells you, and it gives you a hint on what that error is, and it highlights up here the line that has the error. So using the hint that it gave me, and also maybe looking at an example to see, what could have been wrong with this print line statement, I am confident that what's wrong is it's missing this semicolon. So I'm going to compile again. I see operation complete. So now I'm going to run it. So you'll see this little guy running. If you click on that, it's going to run, which means it is now going to have the computer execute the ones and zeros that you don't see on the screen, but the computer is going to execute this code that it's been given, this set of instructions, which simply just tells it, print out this line, hello world. And so there you go. There's hello world. Now, the next thing you'll want to do is, if this was an assignment that you needed to turn in, you have to find it on your hard drive to turn it in. So remember that I had created a directory to hold my files. So I stuck it in IT-145 tutorials. So here is my .java file. That's this here. That would be what you would turn in for your assignment. This class file, that is a result of actually compiling the application that I created, and that is what your computer actually runs. And when you're done, if you want, you can close all your files if you want to. And if you want to reopen it, you just hit open, and then you traverse your directory until you find it, and then you could open, and then it opens it up in the editor again. If it's still in this list of files over here, so let's say I close them, so nothing's in the editor. If you double click it, it'll bring it up in the editor. All right, thank you for listening and good luck.